Welcome back to another episode of Bromance. I'm Ryan, and today we had Terrell back on. The first half of the show, we talked about the Knicks, and the second half of the show, we talked about Pacers Thunder's Game 1. That is it. Hope you guys enjoy.
Ice water turn Atlantic, night calling in a phantom. Told them, hold it, don't you panic.
Welcome back to another episode of Bromance. I'm Ryan, and today I got with me Terrell. Terrell, how we doing, baby?
I'm good. I'm happy to be back. How you feeling?
I'm feeling good. Lazy Saturday, a bunch of rain. Watching, I think it's called like Grotesque right now with Hannah.
Never even heard of it.
Or Protest or something like that.
The Travis Kelce show?
The Travis Kelce show, yeah. Damn it, Kelsey needs to be here. She would know what I'm talking about.
This is the time for the Culture Corner to come through, and she's not even.
I know, dude. I was thinking about this the other day, and I'm like, I want to ask Kelsey if she thinks that Timothy Chalamet could coach the Knicks.
You know what? I'm sure she'd have a very qualified opinion on this.
She would. I would trust her opinion on it.
Yeah. She probably knows his personality and could give off some good or bad reasons on why he might be a good fit.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. She could be like, he's cute and all, but the X's and O's, I don't think he's like really fit up for the job.
Yeah, it's really going to come down to his cuteness.
Yeah. How about you? How was your day?
It's not too bad. My kids have not been sleeping great recently, aka I have not been sleeping great recently. But it was a sleepy Saturday. It was rainy. It was very cloudy today. I worked, and then as soon as I got out of work, had a party afterwards. And now here we are podcasting. So,
oh hell yeah,
doing the damn thing.
Yes, sir. I reached out to John the other day and I was like, hey, bro, you want to hop on Bromance Saturday? And he's like, too soon, bro. I'm like, Halliburton hurt me too. I know how you feel.
Dude, he's doing it to both of you guys. He is leaving burns on your hearts.
Yeah. So this got me thinking. So it's like when you become a parent and you're like, hey, I don't like when, my mom or dad did that thing. And I want to be a better parent, so I'm gonna try my best so I don't put like my son or daughter in that position. This got me thinking, like, damn, I want to protect John. He's my friend, but Tyrese Halliburton is a bad man, and he hurt us both.
Yeah, for real. He is a bad man. He is on a very, very legendary run right now. And it's sad that it happened to be against your team because I'm sure you feel some type of way about it. But, it is what it is. He's playing fantastic basketball.
That game-winning shot that he put up, I stayed up for most of the game. I think I went to bed with like 2 or 3 minutes left, and I watched it off my phone. When he got the ball, there was like 6 seconds left, and he's running up the court. I'm like, he's going to shoot the ball, and it's going to go in. And he had like a half decent shot off the fingertips. I'm like, poor John, that's going in 1,000%. And it fucking did. And it was like 0.3 seconds left. And I'm like, dude, they're not going to win the game. There's no way.
Yeah, it was like a dream sequence because as soon as they missed the shot, and it's like they missed a shot with their best player getting his best shot. He got a good look at a mid-range. He's the MVP. That is his go-to. He got a good look. He was just looking tired towards the end, but he got a good look. And then, shout out to Carlisle for just having humongous balls on not calling a timeout at the very end of the game. Just let them run it. And as soon as Tyrese, he demanded the ball. He was playing like ass all game. Was kind of non-existent, wasn't being that impactful. He still had decent stats, but, to be your best player, for him to have 12, 14 points in the fourth quarter, not very impactful. And he demanded the ball, got to his spot, and same exact thing. As soon as it left his hand, I'm like, that's good. He's done it so many times in this one run alone that it would be foolish to assume he's going to miss.
I think that a lot of people say like, oh, props to the coach for not calling timeout. I think if a coach calls a timeout there, then they're a fucking idiot because you don't want the Thunder to set up in a half-court defense with 5 or 6 seconds left. I think the easiest thing in the world is to not call the timeout. It's just smart. Try and catch them in a mismatch, honestly, running down the court, let's say Caruso, because he did pick up Halliburton. Let's say Caruso's like pointing to, I don't know, Lou Dort, and he's like, yo, Lou Dort, go pick up Tyrese Halliburton. And Lou Dort is like, oh, Alex Caruso has been guarding him more than half the game. He's going to pick him up. Like, that's where you're going to catch him in a mismatch. But if you call timeout, then everyone's going to be on the same page. It's going to be a lot harder to score.
I agree and disagree because if you call a timeout, at least they're coming out in a set defense, but you're coming out with a set play and you're coming out with your best play to try to get you one basket because that's all you need. But it's just a high risk, high reward play. You don't call a timeout, that means you have supreme trust in your offense to be able to handle the chaos and be able to get a shot off. And they did. I think that there's merit to both sides. I would definitely call a timeout because there's just so many things that could go wrong. And the worst thing that you could do is get a turnover, and then they have a chance to win again, which could happen when you're playing a chaotic game like that at the very last second.
I think you're going to get a better quality shot off without calling a timeout, which they did. I think if they call a timeout, you can honestly send a really hard double, which they tried to do. If you go back and watch it, they try to have Caruso double him, but he flashed a double and Siakam came to the basket and Dort didn't pick him up fast enough, so Caruso had to drop. There was a double.
Yeah,
But
no, this is precisely why that feeds into what you're saying on why it's smart to not call a timeout because that confusion does not happen if there's a timeout.
no, I think if they call a timeout, they get a worse quality shot at the rim. And if I'm the Thunder, I like my chances if the Pacers did call a timeout.
Yeah, actually, yeah. The more we talk about it, the more I'm kind of agreeing with you because their defense is so fucking good, especially when they especially when they can set themselves up. So it's like you have to take advantage of the little bit of chaos that they're giving you.
Mm-hmm. Before we talk about the finals, I want to talk about the Knicks. But before we talk about the Knicks, I want to talk about the Carter Six.
Oh, okay.
Have you listened through the whole album yet?
Not the whole album. Ironically, I'm actually wearing a Lil Wayne.
Oh shit!
Part of the plan. Hazel, my daughter, likes Lil Wayne, so and she just points to him. We both have the same hair, so I think correlating the two. But no, I listened to like maybe half of it. Some bangers so far. What's your favorite song? I like Band from New Orleans.
That's definitely number one.
Yeah.
A number two for me, I would say, is it's got a funny name. Hold on. Loki's theme.
I don't think I got to that one yet. What number is that?
I think 12.
Yeah, I don't think I got
track 11. Track 11. Pretty fire. I would say this is definitely not his best album. I wasn't expecting it to be his best album. There's probably like two songs that are like fucking bangers. Like you hop in the car with your friends, you're like, hey, pass me the aux. I'm playing these songs. There is not as many as I would like, but I do think that there's like two really good songs, and then there's like three solid songs, and one of the last songs there's like a Haitian rapper. I actually think it's kind of a fire song. I want to say the name of the song was called Maria, and the Haitian rapper's name is, don't know how I would say this, but it's Wyclef Jean. Wyclef Jean.
Yeah.
Yeah. Pretty good. Something a little different.
Yeah, no, it's just, I mean, it's definitely not going to be his best work, but the fact that he's been in the rap game for 2+ decades and is still putting out music that isn't just hot trash is pretty impressive. Because, like you said, there are a few bangers. I haven't gotten a chance to listen to the full thing, but this man is just he's one of my favorite rappers of all time. So I'm a little biased. I was going to like it regardless of what he put out, but he's put out so many songs and so many mixtapes and so many albums that we should just be happy that he even still has the capability to put out music.
Or honestly, that he still has that inspiration too, because I mean, this guy was on the Hot Boys in the late 90s, right?
Yeah, literally.
Yeah. So he went to jail too, came back, like put out all these fucking fire albums and mixtapes still.
Because I mean, he has the Carters, and then he has all the dedications, and then he has all the mixtapes, and then he has all of his features. He does a fuck ton of features.
The dedications are so good. I back in the day when I would post every Wednesday, Thursday of our dodgeball highlights, I would always try to put a dedication song in there, whether it was from 5 or 6, and I just can't. They say way too many bad words. Maybe you could post it. I don't think I could.
You could post it too, bro. Go ahead.
I don't think so. I think I would get like a lot of fire, emojis, but then I would get some like, I don't know if this is a song you should be using here.
Emojis.
Yeah, so question emojis. Let's talk about the Knicks though. So we talked about this in person, but we haven't talked about it on the pod. Knicks fired Tom Thibodeau after 5 seasons. He coached them to 4 playoff appearances. He also coached them to 3 upsets where they were the ones that got upset twice by the Pacers, one by the Hawks. What do you think about the Knicks firing Tom Thibodeau? Do you think it was the right move?
Yeah, I think it was the right move, and I also think that it was inevitable. The writing was kind of on the wall. It's just a little sad the way that it happened because if you look at what they've been able to do since he's been there, he really did turn their franchise around in a very meaningful way. They went from being the literal laughingstock of the league to, almost making the Eastern Conference Finals. And ultimately, I feel like that's why he lost his job because of the potential. Not that they didn't have a good run. They did have a good run. It's how much better could their run have been if he was a little more open-minded and was willing to make changes and adjustments, which he just doesn't do. That's his style. But I think it's a good move for the Knicks. I don't know what they're going to do moving forward, but I think they needed to get rid of him.
So 2 thoughts, and I think over like the last 4 or 5 days, I think I've came to this conclusion. Number one, thank you, coach. The Knicks were complete dog shit for 20 years, pretty much all the 2000s, 2010s. Thank you. You changed the culture. It's been 5 years. It's been a good 4 years. This past year, the team was extremely talented and there was a lot of expectations that were not met. I know that, it's the furthest that the Knicks have gone in 25 years. And I think it's very easy for fans to be like, what the fuck, blah, blah, blah. Why do you get fired? If you are content with Tom Thibodeau being the Knicks head coach, I think you are content with them making the playoffs every single season and them getting second rounded every single season with the roster that they have. And I think that they should make a trade or two. But with the roster that they have, this is not the right coach for them.
I agree. Because when we were talking in person, you used the quote, and I'm probably about to fuck it up, so correct me. But he's a floor raiser and ceiling lowerer. I don't know. You say it, and then I'll piggyback off of it.
I think I just said that he had a high floor and he had a very low ceiling.
Yeah.
Same
So
thing when he coached the Bulls. Same thing when he coached the Timberwolves. Like he's getting you to the playoffs. He's turning a bad team into like a solid team or a respectable team. He's going to get the most out of his players in the regular season, but by the time they get to the playoffs, if he wants to try and throw different lineups out there, if he needs to make adjustments, it's just not going to be made.
Yeah, because I remember we had talked one time about you were like, "What do you think about the play-in?" And then you're not a huge fan because it incentivizes mid teams or something along those lines, and that's kind of what Tibbs his ceiling really is at a mid team. You guys will make the playoffs, but you'll never go anywhere beyond. You'll never make it to the Eastern Conference Finals. Like that is the actual cap. That's the hot. He's brought you to the absolute pinnacle of what he can do as your coach, and you thank him for what he's done. Thanking you you should thank him for showing you what your organization can do. And now you get somebody else that can take the reins and then run further than he was able to run with it.
Yeah, there's a lot of fans online that are pretty pissed that he got fired. These are the same fans that were barking for since January when they're kind of going on that little lull about him getting fired. So I don't think you could talk out of both sides of your mouth. I'm going to stick with mine. I've been saying since I think it was like after they beat the Pistons. I had that episode with Bo where I said I think the Knicks are going to lose in 5, and they end up winning in 6. But I said I think the Knicks are going to lose in 5, and I think that Tom Thibodeau should get fired. So I've had this take for 2 months, month and a half. Going to stick with it. I don't know who I want as a head coach. There is a lot of smoke. And I think when they first fired him, it was very quiet. It was very in-house. It seemed like they knew who they wanted. And now all these names are coming out, which I think is, I don't know if they're trying to throw the scent off of they already know who they want to hire, or I don't know if they really just don't because they're trying to request permission to talk to Jason Kidd, Ime Udoka, Chris Finch. Like these are all coaches that are coaching teams that made the playoffs.
Yeah. I mean, it could be a little bit of both because even if they do know what they're going to do, I would, just start throwing out false signals just to let people not know what's going on.
It's like or not NBA. It's like NFL draft where there's always so much smoke. And then at the end of the day, it's like the chalkiest pick ever. It's like, yeah, no shit. They're going to draft a quarterback. They needed it. They said that they weren't gonna, but obviously they were gonna.
Yeah, I just don't know what they're gonna do. But I mean, they've got options. I'm not sure how great their options are because I'm not too familiar with like coaches.
There's some assistant coaches. So there's like Johnny Bryant. So I'll talk about this now. I said it on the last episode, but the Knicks had a assistant, Johnny Bryant, on their bench when they signed Julius Randle. He was on their team for 4, if not 5 years. This past season, he left to be the assistant head coach for the Cavaliers. The Suns fired Budenholzer. The Suns had 2 finalists for their coaching search. It was Jordan Ott, who they ended up hiring, who was a Cavs assistant, and it was Johnny Bryant, who was also the assistant for the Cavs. When that report came out, the Knicks fired Tom Thibodeau, and I was like, "Huh, that was pretty quick." And there was rumors that Tom Thibodeau was going to get fired in-house, like during the Celtics series, in-house, and all these reports came out afterwards. We'll talk about it, but as soon as that happened, I was like, I think the Knicks are going to hire Johnny Bryant. And now there's all these, which I think maybe smoke about them trying to request permission to talk to all these different coaches who are coaching NBA teams. And I think maybe at the end of the day, they just hire Johnny Bryant, but I don't know if that's the correct move.
I mean, you as a Knicks fan, is there any one person that you're leaning towards, and is there any one person that you do not want?
There are a few players, or not players. There's a few coaches who I'm totally out on. Budenholzer, I don't care that he won an NBA championship. He's the same, coach as Tom Thibodeau. He's on the older side. His adjustments are pretty bad. I'm good. Michael Malone, good NBA coach. He coached the Nuggets 2 years ago when they won the finals. He has a lot of issues with butting heads with general managers. So when he got fired from the Nuggets, they also fired their general manager, Calvin Booth. So I think that's bad. I don't think that the Knicks will even interview him, honestly. Maybe they interview him just to get him in house and see, hey, if you're coaching this team, what would you do? Maybe just to pick his brain a little bit, but I don't think they are realistically going to hire him. And Mike Brown. So I think that he was a, decent coach back in the day. I think him coaching LeBron, helped him a lot, but I think I'm good. I do think that he's more of a culture guy. He coached the Kings. They were ass. They hired him. They gave him an extension. He looked really good for 3 years. Brought him to playoffs. I'm good.
Yeah, yeah. I don't. Not much to choose from. It seems like.
No, and that's why I think that there was the rumor of them being linked to Jay Wright, and I'm like, number one, the team that they have now and that press release that they put out after they fired Thibodeau was like, we expect championships. Like, that's what we're looking for pretty much. Mm-hmm. Jay Wright's never even coached in the NBA. So why are you going to hire a guy like that? That made no sense at all.
Who is Jay Wright?
Jay Wright used to coach the Villanova Wildcats for a long time, actually. I don't know when he started, but he retired, and I want to say it was just before COVID, but he coached Josh Hart, he coached Mikal Bridges, he coached Jalen Brunson for their championship runs.
So he hasn't even coached so he's never coached the NBA, and he hasn't even coached since 2020.
No, he's been an analyst. He used to be a very good college coach. There's the rumors of Danny Hurley. Danny Hurley will never coach the NBA, in my opinion, which means that the Knicks will hire him probably in an hour. That's how this works, but yeah. I don't think so. He's a college coach. Just his demeanor and how hard he coaches his players. I'm not saying that I don't like that. I do like that, but that's not the coaching style of the NBA.
Yeah.
There was also some other reports, so I'll talk about this now. James Dolan was in the exit interviews with players, which is something that normally doesn't happen. James Dolan, ever since he hired Worldwide West and Leon Rose, he's given them full reign. He's backed off. He's let them do their thing. He was on the Roommates podcast, which is Josh Hart and Jalen Brunson's podcast, and he pretty much said that he regrets everything that he used to do back in the day, and that in hindsight, he wished he never did that. So him being in these interviews and asking players what they thought about the coach, I thought was very telling. And again, there was reports that came out after the season was over that Thibodeau knew that he was on thin ice in the Celtics series, and same thing with the Indiana series. So it's not surprising if you're a Knicks fan, you kind of heard these rumors. They were just rumors at the time, obviously, but it's not like you should not have been shocked that this happened.
And it's also crazy that it's like he heard rumblings of it. And then even with that knowledge, it took, because I'm pretty sure you're the one that told me, it took like Josh Hart actually going up to him and saying something before he changed his mind. And it's like, bro, you hear what's going on.
There was a game towards the end of, I think it was the regular season. I'm pretty sure it was the regular season. The Knicks were cooking, I forget who. They were up like 20. And Rick Brunson, Jalen Brunson's dad, assistant head coach, went up to Tibbs and was like, yo, pull the starters. Like, we're up by 20. I think there was a few minutes left. There was no way that they were blowing that lead. I'd have to go back and try and find the clip, but Rick Brunson went up there once, if not twice. Jalen Brunson was on the bench and he went up to Tibbs and he was like, yo, pull him. And he finally did. You never see that. You never see that.
What, a player having to talk to the coach like that?
To go up to the coach and be like, coach, the game is over. Let's pull these guys. Let's get ready for the next game.
Yeah, that it is insane that it even came to that in the first place. And it's also kind of hilarious. Like, bro, why do you need us to tell you how to do your job effectively? Just do it. They're not going to come back. It's the regular season. Who cares? We're already in the playoffs. Don't let any of us get hurt. That's the whole reason we do it. Don't let any of us get hurt. Everybody got hurt last year, particularly because of your style. Let's make sure that doesn't happen again and we can go into the playoffs fresh this year.
I do think he kind of gets a bad rep sometimes. So like that Pacer series last year, Josh Hart had like the abdomen injury. I forget exactly how it happened, but that's not something that happens like over time. I think he just got elbowed or something like that. Like that's just like a weird injury. And then Brunson broke his hand, but I think he got slapped under the basket. Again, that's not like a hamstring or a soft tissue injury. That's just a freak injury. But yes, he has played his players way too much in the regular season. He does not fuck with his lineups really at all. And then when it comes to nut crunching time in the playoffs, he's like, hey, let me try throwing these lineups out there that I haven't thrown out all regular season. Dude, again, not the time to try it. You had 82 games.
Yeah.
There was also another report that came out. I forget what website this was. I think it was like Bleacher Report. The Knicks made a trade offer for KD in February.
Oh.
I'm going to assume it was Cat. I'm going to assume it was Cat. I don't think that it would be Mikal Bridges, but there was also reports of, multiple player meetings throughout the regular season about, no, obviously no coaches, but player meetings only about defensive rotations and locker room shit and just in-house stuff. So I'm going to assume that trade was probably Cat for KD and both. So the Suns are in the second apron, which is a big no-no. They need to get out of that. The Knicks are very close to being in the second apron. I think they're $4 million away. That could not have been a two-team trade. There had to be a third team involved in that trade. And I think that's probably why it didn't go through. They probably couldn't find that third team because it was super close to the deadline, I guess. But
what does second apron mean? Sorry to cut you off.
There's like the first apron where, okay, so like a second apron team is like a team that pays out the ass for their players. It's pretty much so what happened with the Warriors when they signed KD doesn't happen again. And it's also kind of like what happened with the Celtics, how they have all these homegrown players like Tatum and Brown, but they make so much money where they can't sign players really anymore. And that's why there's a lot of rumors about them getting rid of some of their players because they want to get out of that second apron. Okay. If you're in that second apron, I believe you have 2 years to get out of it. If you are still in it, your pick, whatever it falls in the first round, if you still have it, falls all the way to 30.
Oh, wow.
Mm-hmm.
Holy shit. That's a big deal.
Yes. And the Suns are currently in that. So they're trying to get out of it.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense.
So I could see a 3-team trade maybe this offseason. With the roster that they have, I think with the roster what they have, think how much money you're paying Cat, and I think how much money you're going to have to be paying Mikal Bridges because you should extend him. He only has 1 year left on his deal. You can't trade for him, have him play one season, don't offer him shit this summer, and then he plays out this upcoming season, and then he just walks in free agency as an unrestricted free agent. You can't have that. I think you do have to extend him, but I think you need to pick and choose. You either want Bridges on your team or you want Cat on your team.
Who do you want?
I think that they should trade Mikal Bridges because Cat is one of the best centers in the league. You have Brunson, who I know is a negative defender. Same thing with Cat. Mikal Bridges was brought in as a very good 3-and-D player this season. There was no 3, there was just D, and the D was not consistent. Pause. It was not consistent, especially in playoff games. There was, playoff games, and for example, when they played the Celtics, where he was making game-changing plays at the end of the game, like steals, blocks, like 2 back-to-back, game 1 and game 2. He won them those games with that one steal and with that one block. But it's not consistent. There's only one ball. You have Jalen Brunson, you have Cat, you have OG Anunoby. Those are 3 pretty solid offensive players. You don't need a 4th.
I agree. It never hurts to have more offense, but you said specifically he was brought in there for 3-and-D. If he's only converting on 50% of that, it's like you're kind of not doing what we brought you in here for. And Cat doesn't play defense at all, but he makes up for it on the offensive end. But it's just that's where it gets hard because when you have Jalen and Cat out there at the same time, the defense is there's 2 weak links. It's hard to play good defense when you have 2 weak links, and obviously you can make up for it. But I would probably try to keep Cat too, just because it's so much harder to find a quality big man that's multifaceted the way that he is.
Also, so with the projected cap, the number that they would have to offer for Mikal Bridges to stay would be very close to the extension that Jalen Brunson just signed. And Jalen Brunson signed for a lot less on purpose. He could have extended this summer instead of this past summer, and he could have been making a lot more money. So he went out of his way to save the Knicks money so they can go out and make the moves that they've made. And they are very close to the second apron. If they sign Mikal Bridges, they're putting themselves over it. So it's just a matter of time before they will trade him. Or Hart or Cat or OG. Like you can't have the team that you have now with the second apron.
Well, I know you're saying you would want to get rid of Mikal. Who do you think they're actually going to get rid of?
I could see a world where it's Cat, I guess. I do think that he's a really good center, but his defense is so bad, and the playoffs specifically, he's getting targeted a lot. There's a lot of silly fouls. I wouldn't mind, and this is gonna sound crazy, and I talked about it on the last episode with John, and I talked myself into it. KD's 36. If you could do something where it's like Cat going out, KD coming in, that's number one. That's not a straight up trade. I don't think you can straight up do it. I also think Towns at this point in KD's career, I think the Suns would have to throw in more stuff rather than the Knicks. Do you think that's crazy?
Yeah.
You still think it's crazy?
Yeah.
You think the Knicks would have to throw in assets instead of the Suns?
I feel like it would probably just do it straight up if you're going to do it.
I wouldn't do it straight up. I've seen a lot of trade packages, like offers and stuff. So there's a podcast called the Game Theory Podcast, really fucking good podcast, and they've been doing off season like whole team talks for half an hour, 45 minutes, and they had one about KD today, and they were showing a bunch of trades that would go through on the trade machine. I hated all of them. Like there were some ones that was just like, why would you even keep them at that point, or why would you trade them at that point? I think Cat for KD is the best trade if they want a good player right then and there that the Suns are probably going to get. I know that they don't really have assets, and I know the Knicks don't have a ton of assets too. That's why it would have to be a 3-team trade. I think I would do it. Mitchell Robinson is your starting center. You'd have to figure out who your backup center is. It might be Huck Porty. He's still pretty young though. KD would be your 4. Mikal would be your 3. I would put McBride as a 2. Josh Hart, in my opinion, is a guy that's built to come off the bench, brings in a lot of energy. The shooting isn't really there. And then obviously Brunson is your starting point guard. What do you think?
Who do you think brings more value to a team right now, Cat or KD?
It depends on the team.
Yeah, that's fair. Who do you think brings more value to the Knicks right now? Would Cat or KD bring more value?
I'll put it this way. If Mitchell Robinson was your starting center against the Pacers and KD was your starting 4, I think they win that series.
Wait, hang on. Say that again.
If you didn't have Cat, so let's say that Mitchell Robinson was your starting center instead of Cat. I know they went double big, but let's say that Mitchell Robinson was your starting center and KD was your 4.
Yeah.
I think the Knicks won that series.
100% because Cat was playing real bad defense, and you can guarantee points from KD, and that's why I think it would just be he's still such a good offensive player, bro. You can give him the ball at any given point, and just he'll get a quality shot off.
And he has a lot of length. He used to be a really good defender back in the day. For the death lineup for the Warriors, he played the five.
Yeah, he used to be a really fucking bad defender, and then he became a really good defender, and now he's on the older side. But even him being old and not the best defender, it's still better than Cat. Dude, Cat looks so confused out there sometimes.
The fouls are pretty bad too. He's another one of those players like Julius Randle, where it's like you're excited he's on your team, but then there's games where you're like, bro, come on, like he's literally not even playable at this point.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't really know what I'm rooting for. I do think that they need to make a decision on if they want. I think they need to make a decision if they want Mikal Bridges or if they want Cat. And I think Josh Hart needs to come off the bench. I think McBride needs to be in there. He's a good defender. I know he's on the shorter side, but he is a very good defender. He plays the passing lanes very well, and he is a very good shooter.
Yeah, and also Josh Hart doesn't mind coming off the bench either.
No, until he does. There, like
Yeah.
2 years ago, he was complaining, and then Tip started playing on 40 minutes and starting him. This did kind of give me some flashbacks. So with the Knicks firing Tom Thibodeau in 2003, oh my gosh, in 2003, you know who was coaching the Pistons?
Nope.
Rick Carlisle.
Oh wow.
Yeah, I look back and my man had hair.
Wow, that's crazy, dude.
Yep. So 2003, the Pistons fired Rick Carlisle after losing the Eastern Conference Finals. Same thing that the Knicks just did. The following year, they hire Larry Brown and they win the championship. You know who was in that front office?
Oh.
Worldwide West. You know who's in the Knicks front office right now?
Oh, worldwide?
Worldwide West.
Ah.
In 2000, I want to say it was 2018, 2019. Dwayne Casey won Coach of the Year for the Raptors. They lost in the second round. The Raptors won 59 games in the regular season. The Raptors fire him in the offseason. They hired Nick Nurse. They trade for Kawhi Leonard. They won the NBA Finals the following season. So these franchises are signaling like, hey, we like the roster. We don't like the coach. He brought us as far as he can. Very close. We just need that coach to put us up and over. I think that's what the Knicks are signaling right here.
Yeah, because the puzzle, if it's 100-piece puzzle, you got like 85 pieces already. You're so close. You were knocking on the door of the Eastern Conference Finals. And like I said, it's his stubbornness that is the reason that they didn't get to where they're going. And they're just really an open-minded coach away from getting there.
And this will be my last point about the Knicks, and then we'll talk about the Thunder. But the East is wide open, man. Like, if you look at the East, you have the Knicks, you have the Pacers, you have the Cavs. Like, the Cavs just lost. It was a pretty ugly loss. The Pacers, you could say that they've been overachieving, but, I mean, how many game winners are they going to hit to where it's like, hey, maybe they're not overachieving. Maybe that this isn't luck. Like, this has been consistently happening. You got the Pistons. You have the 76ers, but they're always hurt. You have the Celtics. The Celtics have a hurt Jason Tatum. You have the Magic, who feel like they can't really figure it out every single season. They're always one piece away, but they're really not. You have like the Wizards, who are ass. You have the Hornets, who are ass. Like, who are the Knicks really competing with next season?
The Pacers. But like you said, the East is wide open, and that's what makes basketball way more fun to watch when anything can happen. It's not fun when you go in with an already, predetermined narrative on this team is probably going to make the Eastern Conference Finals. They're going to see this team on the Western Conference. When you don't know what's going to happen and there's so many moving parts, that's what makes it more exciting. Because as of right now, that's the team that bounced them out of the playoffs, and that's the team that's looking the strongest in the East right now. Like, people are saying that it's a fluke run. And honestly, I kind of been saying that up until this first game that they played and the way that they won. I'm like, hey, maybe this is not a fluke anymore. Maybe we should start giving this team some credit. They're looking like a really good basketball team.
I tend to agree with you on that. And one more thing that I want to add. The Pacers have knocked the Knicks out of the playoffs in back-to-back seasons.
Ouch.
Yes. So when everyone's like, hey, the coach isn't making adjustments, how many times are you going to play him in the playoffs for you to realize like, hey, maybe I shouldn't do the double big. Maybe I shouldn't have Josh Hart starting. Maybe I should play my bench because the longer that the series goes, the more and more tired my players get. And yeah, they're more talented than the bench, but can they show and have the same effort on defense? Can they run up and down the court like the bench players can? No, not in game 6 if you're playing your starters 40 minutes.
Yeah, and that's a valid point. To get bounced from the playoffs 2 years in a row by the same team for the same reason. It's like, hey man, what else could you what more clear of a sign could you ask for to make a change?
Yep. Let's talk about the finals. So game 1, the Thunder blew the lead in the fourth quarter. I was having flashbacks. Tyrese Halliburton, he's a terrorist. He shoots the game winner with 0.3 seconds left on the clock, and the Pacers win game 1 on the road.
What a crazy game.
Yeah, I watched it back today. I have some bullet points. So the end of the first quarter, the Pacers, 8 field goals made, 9 turnovers.
Pitiful.
Bad.
Real bad.
Bad.
Like if you look at the statistics, there's absolutely no reason the Pacers shouldn't have got smoked.
Would you like to take a guess at how many turnovers that the Pacers had in the first half?
Or it was either 18 or 20.
19.
19.
Would you like to guess how many turnovers the Pacers had for the whole game?
I think it was 25.
25, yeah. So they had 19 in the first half and they had 6 in the second half.
Yeah, that was a stat I saw at halftime because I watched a little bit of the first quarter and then I ended up just fucking up my recording, so I didn't get to watch the first half. But I tuned in at halftime and I saw that they were down, I believe, 12 or 14 points, but they had 19 turnovers. And I'm like, without seeing the game, I was like, the Pacers are going to win because that is an incredible amount of turnovers. And I don't see them fucking up again for an entire half that bad.
I had a really bad feeling too, just like you said. So 19 turnovers in the first half. Your team's only up 12. That's not good. That's
Yeah.
not good.
If you give up 19 turnovers, the game should pretty much be over by that point. That's 38 points if they're twos. That's 57 points if it's threes. The game should literally be over. You cannot give up that many opportunities and then have the other team not capitalize on them.
Yes. So let's talk about the fourth quarter. So with 9:42 left in the fourth quarter, the score is 94-79. So there was that J-Dub breakaway dunk. J-Dub is looking into the camera. He's screaming. They take the screenshot. The Pacers were losing 79-94 with 9:42 left in the fourth. And then they show Karl-Anthony Towns screaming. They show Max Strus screaming. And Tyrese Halliburton hits a shot on, to end all those games. Miles Turner has that crazy bank 3 with 6:15 left. So the score went from 98-91 to then 98-94. Aaron Nesmith hits a big 3. He cuts the lead down to 6 with 2:40 left to go. So the score there was 108-102. Kason Wallace goes for the loose ball foul with 22 seconds left. This is pretty much the last possession, the second to last possession. Rick Carlisle challenges the play. Rick Carlisle said that Siakam was fouled. That's why he fell out of bounds. He was not fouled. They lost that challenge. The Thunder have the ball, 22 seconds left. Shea has that ISO. Goes up for the midi. Ball hits the back of the rim. I think Obi Toppin got the rebound. Finds Tyrese Halliburton. And from there, the game was curtains.
Yup. What an epic fourth quarter, dude. We've seen them do this so many times. But there was a couple times in particular where I just straight up thought the game was over. Where it was like you said, I think J-Dub had the breakaway dunk, and I'm like, oh, they're running away with this. Like they're not going to come back. And then Alex Caruso had a really tough a real tough.
Yes, yeah. Right after.
Like, oh, that's game for sure, right there. That's game. Especially not even just the and one, but it's like they had all the momentum at that point. And the crowd was so into it too, and they're at home. I'm like, bro, this is it for them, and they just are so resilient, dude. I don't know what it is, but they have no quit in them.
If I didn't just watch the Knicks play them 6 games in a row, I would agree with what you just said. When they went to that commercial break, I'm like, I know that they're up by, what was it, 14, 15? there's still so much time left. Even if there was like 4 minutes left, I'm like, dude, they've came back so many times in the playoffs on the road. I'm like, there's still time. And then Obi Toppin, he had like I think three threes in the fourth quarter. Like within the last I think 4 or 5 minutes, he had three really big threes. And then Siakam had that putback like right under the rim. But
Clutch, yeah. Obi came up clutch for him, especially after pulling a fucking Russell Westbrook in the first quarter. He came in, and I kid you not, in like 4 minutes, he had three turnovers. He was looking shook out there. And I'm like, Obi, no, dude. But he made up for it in the fourth. But the biggest shot of the whole game was Andrew Nemhart with the fucking double tween, double step back three. Bangers, dude. I was watching the game. I was laying in my bed watching the game with Kelsey. I had to stand up and just go watch. I was gonna wake up, dude. It was so hype. As soon as he made that shot, I'm like, bro, they're gonna make the comeback. They've been, because like you said, they were down 14-15, but we've seen them make that comeback before. So that's all. As long as they could keep it there, they're keeping it within striking distance. They did such a good job of just maintain. They were doing damage control. They didn't let it get out of control. There were a lot of points where it could have became a 20-point game, 25-point game, but they kept themselves within striking distance, and then they just continued to get timely stops, and then we're making buckets, and a lot of tough buckets too. Miles Turner with the fucking bank three, and then a mid-range pull up. Aaron Nesmith had a good three. Nemhard, everybody contributed.
can I make a confession?
Sure.
I don't hate the Pacers as much as I should.
Okay. Why is that?
I think they're kind of a likable team. I think I think Tyrese Halliburton, like I don't think anyone really likes him. Um, I think he's extremely annoying. He's like one of those players that, you know, he's ready to get into a fight, and then he's like running behind his teammates, and he's like, "Yeah, that's right. They're holding me back. Like
Yeah.
you're fucking lucky." He only talks when they're up. He's very quiet. He has games where he just doesn't show up. I really like the rest of their team, and I really like Obi Toppin.
I really like their team too. Like they're making me become a fan of them just watching them on this one series, or not this series, this playoff
This
run.
whole playoff run, yeah, and then honestly they're underdog story. They're the 4 seed.
Yeah, because it's like they were supposed to get smoked immediately, and then they did the smoking, and then it's like they've just continued to defy the odds, and it's like I think they're thriving off of it. They have to be, because that's the only reason they would be able to be in this position right now while consistently being the underdogs.
There was a quote that I forget who it was, but they were like, "Yeah, we're playing with house money," and they definitely are. What they're doing right now, I don't think over an entire season is sustainable, but they have a very young core. They have a good head coach. Why can't they replicate next season what they're doing right now?
Oh, I think they absolutely can.
Yeah, I think so. And I got a few stats for you. So Thunder get out rebounded 56-39.
Yeah, that's
Isaiah,
up.
Isaiah Hartenstein, he plays 17 minutes, and those 17 minutes, 9 points, 9 rebounds.
I think he should have played more. I don't know why OKC was playing so small.
I think that they were afraid of the Pacers really pushing the ball, which, again, going back to the Knicks series, you can't play two bigs if the other team is just pushing the ball constantly because they're big boys, they're going to get tired. I agree with what you're saying. I think that just having Hartenstein out there, I know Siakam only had 19 points, but I think he would have guarded him a little bit better in certain instances. And I think that he would have pulled down more rebounds for sure.
Yeah.
You also paid this man what, $90 million?
Yeah, to sit on the bench.
Yes. Obi Toppin 17 points off the bench. Siakam had 19 and 10. Aaron Nesmith 10 and 12. Halliburton 14 and 10. SGA 38 points. Chet Holmgren, who started 24 minutes.
I'm pretty disappointed in Chet, for being honest, dude. I thought he was going to be the real X factor, especially against Miles Turner. Um, I don't know what it is. Because I think he only took 1 3, so he's not shooting. And I thought he would be more aggressive, which he should be cutting or attacking the basket, especially against Miles Turner. Because I thought that he would have similar success the way that Cat had success against Miles Turner, because he's so much quicker than him.
Mm-hmm.
But I think it's like Chet is still small. Like Cat's much bigger than Chet. Chet is kind of frail, so I don't think he can body him. So he might be able to get by him or even with him, but it's like he can't create any separation because he's just not strong enough. So I think that might limit him a little bit.
I think it was like Bill Simmons on his podcast. So it was like, why are people so afraid of Miles Turner? Dude, he's a really fucking good rim protector. I think he was second or third in the NBA in the entire season in blocks.
Yeah, no, he's a good defender.
Yes. I don't know if this is a Chet series. Also, another confession here. I think Chet is good. I don't think he's as good as everyone thinks.
I think he has the potential to. I think he has the potential to be good. Um, I don't know. He has a very good skill set, and he is quicker, and that's what gives Miles Turner trouble. Oh, hang on. I want to get this up. Give me one sec.
All right, a little bit of an intermission break, but I think we were talking about how Chet Holmgren, I think he's good, but I don't think he's as good as everyone thinks he is.
Yeah. Um, I disagree. I think he is as good as everybody thinks he is. And I think yeah, actually, right now, no, because if you look at the way that he's playing in this playoffs, he's really not playing that good. Like, I had super high expectations for this dude. So I think it's the potential that people might be looking at. He still does play good defense. He's just not contributing offensively the way I thought he would be able to. Especially in this series so far, I really thought he would be able to take advantage of Miles Turner a little bit more because like you said, Miles Turner is a good rim defender, but Chet's a good scorer, and Chet's a lot quicker than he is. So I thought he would be able to abuse him a little bit more than he's able to.
I think he has a talent, and I think he is definitely capable, and I think he's like what the number 2 pick.
Yeah,
Like he's expected to be better than this for sure.
yeah.
Do you have any more thoughts on the series before we close out the show?
Um, no, I just noticed that Shea was looking very tired towards the end of the game. The one knock that I have on him is that sometimes he's the MVP, so it's like you can't really knock him for it, and he is a fantastic scorer. But it's like when other teams start to make a comeback a little bit, he'll try to take it upon himself to try to like stifle it, and he will not have the best shot selection sometimes. And it was kind of apparent. There were two plays yesterday, and I think one towards the end of the game where he ended up getting blocked by Siakam, where he most definitely should have passed the ball out. There were like three wide open people, and he just decided to shoot it. And you can't get mad at one of the best scorers in the league taking a shot. That was just good defense, but you have teammates that are wide open. Use it.
Yeah, I think that possession was under 2 minutes, and I believe they're up 3, and that would have put him up 5 if he made the layup. Shea Gilgeous-Alexander, he shot 14 of 30 from the field. So 30 is a lot. Like J-Dub had 19 shots. The next closest person was 10.
Yeah, that's a lot of shots. And J Dub did not play very good. And it's just unfortunate for the Thunder because Lou Dort did play really good. And he also had such a good defensive play. I don't remember who it was that he blocked. I think it might have been Neesmith. But Neesmith went in for a layup and he just went straight up and got such a good block on him. And I was like, in that moment, I'm like, oh, this motherfucker's strong.
Yeah. Yeah.
In full momentum, tried to body him out of the way. Dort didn't move at all, stayed completely vertical, and then just wanted the shit down afterwards. I'm like, bro, that's impressive.
The contract he's on too is like crazy. Like it was one of those contracts that they gave back a few years ago, and people were like, kind of an overpay, I feel like. And now you look at it and you're like, wow, they made out pretty well.
Yeah, especially the way that their team plays.
Why do they word it like that? It's 5 years, 87 mil, so he's making $17 million a year. To put that into perspective, that is pretty much what Josh Hart is making.
Solid.
Good contract. Very team friendly in my opinion. There's also like another contract. Miles McBride. He's on like a pretty good contract. Same thing with him, where he got this contract 2 years ago. People are like, what the heck? And then they traded quickly. They traded Barrett and they started playing him. And they're like, oh shit, this is good. Would you like to guess his contract?
No, just tell me.
It is 3 years with a total value of $13 million.
And for who is this for?
Miles McBride.
Oh, wow.
That's it.
Wow, what a steal.
Yeah, and this happened 2 years ago. And as a Knicks fan who watches every game, when he came into the game, and he really didn't play a whole heck of a lot, but when he'd play like every second or third game for the 5 minutes, I'm like, dude, he's making plays like he deserves more minutes. I don't know if he deserves 20 minutes a game. I don't know if he deserves to start, but like he deserves more than what he's getting.
Yeah. And that's where you need an open minded coach that'll be like, hey, go in there, give us an impactful 10, 12, 13 minutes a night.
December 30th, 2023. That's when they extended him. Do you have anything else that you want to talk about the series? Any adjustments maybe you think that the Thunder should make?
Um, I'm just curious to see what the Thunder are going to do because the Thunder were beating the fuck out of the Pacers for 3.5 quarters. And then the Pacers went on a hot streak, and then the Thunder happened to go on a cold streak. Um, but I don't know. What do you do if you're the Thunder? Do you even make any changes? Because they were beating them the entire game, and it looked pretty convincing. The Pacers were not looking great, and the Thunder were looking good. Like the Thunder came out and went on a 7-0 run immediately. They started the game 7-0, and I was like, oh boy, is this happen? Like I was like, oh no, this could get real ugly real quick. And then it ended up being a good game. But I don't know what I do if I'm the Thunder because if they do start making changes, does that look like a desperate kind of panicky move on their end? Because, like they were winning 99.9% of that game up until the final 0.3 seconds, and then they ended up losing. But they were looking like the Thunder that we all kind of assumed were going to be in the final. And they were playing like it for the vast majority of the game. I don't even know what changes could be made for them.
I think there could be some changes. So I would definitely play Hartenstein more. I don't know how much more. I don't know if I would start him. I don't know if I would, he'd be one of the first guys coming off my bench, but he should be playing more. And then the Pacers had a lot of walk-in threes, pull-up threes, where I don't know if they were running man when that happened. Maybe they should try some zone. I feel like they were playing man most of the game just because of Caruso. Every time he's out there, they were trying to run screens and he was running under a lot of screens. So I'm going to assume that they were playing man most of that game. So maybe his own defense, play Hartenstein more. You're at home. I think that they were 9.5-point favorites in game one. So I'm going to assume that they're like 7.5-point favorites game two. This could be an ass whooping game.
Yeah, I think it will be an ass whooping game.
The Pacers had a lot of crazy threes the third and fourth quarter.
Yeah. I have a question for you about the Pacers. What?
Thunder minus 10.5. They just lost the game.
Yeah.
They're favored more in this game than they were game one. That's crazy.
I mean, it's not crazy because look at what just happened.
If I'm a betting man, I'm taking that plus 10.5.
Yeah, I actually might.
If I'm a betting man, I'm taking that plus 10.5, maybe a little sprinkle on the money line.
But let me ask you about the Pacers. What do you think makes them so resilient? Because they've done it time and time again. Is it the culture? Is it the coach? Is it the players? Because normally in a team setting, you might have one or two dogs on your team that have no quit in them. They do not want to give up. But then reality starts to set in after a while. So all five of you are on the court. You have two people that refuse to quit, but you guys are down by 20. Everybody else is quitting. Nobody else wants to try. These two people are like, no, fuck that. We can make a comeback. And everybody else is like, but we have to play perfect defense. We haven't been able to get a stop on them all night. You think we're going to get 7 stops in a row and then come out and get 7 quality shots on our end? But something about them, they all buy in. They never quit. And they're all just I don't know what it is. I've never really seen a team play like this before because it's so easy to get down on yourself and they never get down and they never quit.
So they have a really good head coach who has, won an NBA Finals with the Mavericks. They have Siakam on their team who has won an NBA Finals with the Raptors. They have a lot of young players that I think are hungry and are scrappy and they'll do whatever it takes to win. They do play very good defense. They will pick up defenders full court. They press. And they are a team where all 5 players on that court can shoot a three and make it at any given time. So I think the fact that they're all scrappy players, they play full court defense and they can hit the three and they can get hot. Like that's why they've been making these runs.
I also think they thrive on the fact that you brought up earlier, they're playing with house money and they're underdogs. Like they have absolutely nothing to lose and they know that they can win because they've done it time and time again and they're enjoying people doubting them.
Right before the game started, they showed, I don't know if you saw this, they showed the shots in the tunnel where OKC was in one side and then the Pacers were on the other. Did you see this or no?
Mm-mm.
They showed the Pacers and the only person that you could tell was locked in, was ready for whatever the fuck he was going to go run out to, was Siakam. Everyone else, they looked like they were nervous. They looked like they were tight. They were like, fuck.
Yeah.
So I think they honestly, they just had to go out there, kind of get their ass handed to them for the first few minutes. And they're like, okay, now we can settle down. Like
Yeah.
we turned the ball over 19 times the first half, second half, only 6.
Yeah. And that's where, having leadership and having experience like that comes into play because that's one of your most consistent players too. In Spicy P, where if you don't have him and everybody's going out there shook and nervous, it's not great.
No. So who do you think wins the series?
I don't know, dude. The fact that they won game one in that fashion, that changes I was saying Thunder in 5. I don't even fucking know anymore, dude. I think it's gonna go 7. I think the Thunder are gonna win, but I think it's gonna go 7 now. Had the Thunder won game one, I would say Thunder in 5. But the fact that the Pacers won in the way and fashion that they won, I will say Thunder in 7, but I also wouldn't be surprised if the Pacers won.
Yeah, I think that the fact that the Pacers won game one in the fashion that they did carries over a lot of momentum. Um, hmm. I think it may be a 7-game series now because you're hoping that you win game two. You almost have to win game two. You can't go to down to Indy and yeah, down, right? No, I guess technically up. You can't go up to Indy, but be down in the series 0-2. So you better win game two. You're hoping for a 2-0 sweep on the road, but worst case scenario has to be 1-1. You can't win game two and then lose both games on the road. I'll say Thunder in 6.
Not a bad choice. They're still a good team, and like I said, they looked like the better team for the majority of the game out there. But the Pacers just did what they've been doing all year, which is making crazy fourth quarter comebacks.
Yeah, and like I said, the Pacers that third quarter they looked pretty good. That fourth quarter they looked really good. They were not missing shots and they were playing really good defense, which I think both teams are more than capable of doing.
Yeah, and the fact that they had 20 turnovers in one half and didn't get fucking blown out is just a crazy impressive stat in and of itself.
Yeah, I I can't see them having 20 plus turnovers again in game two. Maybe they do. I don't know. The OKC's defense is that good, but I cannot see them getting out rebounded by as badly as they did.
Yeah. And one thing that I did notice that they did is they got back. Like they didn't really crash the boards that hard. I feel like they probably wanted to try to limit the transition points, which is pretty smart because it's like you could crash the boards, but I feel like it's smarter to stop what one of their main attack points is, which is to get the ball, push. And it's funny because they both play such similar styles of basketball. They want to just push fast, high tempo, fast pace. And I feel like them getting back instead of like going for rebounds kind of helped deter some of that.
So the Knicks ran the double big lineup, and I kind of hinted about this in the earlier in the episode, but the Knicks ran the double big lineup. I believe it was game 3 because they wanted to grab rebounds, and they did, and they won that game. Game 4, the Pacers made the adjustment. Go ahead, like we're gonna make the shot, or I'm sorry, you're gonna make the shot. We're gonna push the ball down the court after a made shot.
Yeah.
That's where the Knicks lost. So you can't send 05, but I think that, the 4 that you have out there that are banging under the rim need to grab the rebound. And like I said, I think it was like plus 18. Will they get out rebounded again? Probably. Will it be that bad? No.
No.
Same thing with the Pacers, though. Are they going to have 26 turnovers? Probably not.
Extremely doubtful. And it's like the Thunder do play good defense, but you've seen it now. You've experienced it. You know the fuck ups. And it's like they play such good defense in weird ways where it's like I could see how a team would get turnovers like that. And game one is almost a fluke. Let's see what happens in game two. Because if they get that many turnovers again, maybe OKC is really just like that. But it's like they get a lot of turnovers. Like you almost can't pass the ball in the paint against them. Like the Pacers,
no, you can't. They just collapse.
yeah, it's like the Pacers were looking kind of scared at some points, especially in that first half where it's like they're almost just throwing the ball around the perimeter because it's like, fuck, dude, as soon as we throw it inside, it's going to be a turnover. We can't even get an entry pass in there without somebody getting a hand on it.
Mm-hmm. So, yeah, like I said, I think the Pacers had to go out there in that tunnel. They looked like they really didn't want any of the smoke. They got their ass handed to them the first 3-4 minutes of the game, call a quick timeout. And I think they settled down a little bit, but they definitely settled down after the first half.
Yeah. Yeah. Those nerves have got to be unreal.
Oh, yeah, for sure. I mean, look at who's been there in the Pacers, just Siakam.
Yeah, literally.
And the coach, but he's just a coach. That is it, though. Do you have any closing thoughts? Anything you want to add? Any shout outs?
Nothing I could think of.
Alrighty. That is it. Thank you for hopping on.
All right. Appreciate having me, dog. Peace.
Peace.